I bet you didn't know that a small South African town once became the stage for a chilling real-life horror story. This is not just any story. It's a tale that has haunted the minds of many and left an indelible mark on the community. The town of Krugersdorp, nestled in the heart of South Africa, was once a peaceful and serene place where everyone knew each other and life moved at a gentle pace. But all that changed in the blink of an eye, transforming this quiet suburb into a place of fear and mystery. This is the tale of the Krugersdorp killers, a story so dark and twisted that it seems almost unbelievable, yet it is all too real. The events that unfolded in this small town are a stark reminder of the evil that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic communities. The Krugersdorp killers were not just murderers. They were part of a sinister plot that left a trail of devastation in its wake. In the late 1980s, Krugersdorp was just another sleepy suburb in South Africa, a place where children played in the streets, neighbors greeted each other with warm smiles, and the biggest concern was what to cook for dinner. Until the disappearances began, it started slowly, almost imperceptibly. A person would go missing, and the community would rally together, hoping for their safe return. But as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, hope began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of dread. One by one, residents vanished into thin air, leaving no trace, no clues, only fear. The disappearances were not limited to any specific group. Men, women, and even children were taken. The town was gripped by a palpable sense of terror. Missing person posters adorned every lamppost and shop window, a constant reminder of the loved ones who had vanished without a trace. The once bustling streets became eerily quiet as people stayed indoors, too afraid to venture out. Doors were locked in broad daylight, and whispers of a dark cult spread like wildfire. The fear was not just of the unknown, but of the possibility that someone they knew and trusted could be involved. Rumors and speculation ran rampant, with every shadow and every stranger viewed with suspicion. The sense of community that had once been the town's strength was now its weakness as fear and mistrust took hold. Then, in the countryside, the bodies were found. The discovery was a shock to the entire town. The bodies were not just discarded, they were carefully placed in shallow graves, each one marked with cryptic symbols that seemed to taunt the investigators. The countryside, once a place of beauty and tranquility, was now a grim reminder of the horrors that had taken place. Shallow graves held the remains of the missing, each marked with cryptic symbols that stumped investigators. The symbols were unlike anything the police had seen before, adding another layer of mystery to an already baffling case. The investigators worked tirelessly, but every lead seemed to lead to a dead end. The community was left in a state of limbo, desperate for answers but finding none. No patterns, no clear connections, just a growing list of victims, and a community paralyzed by terror. The town held meetings, hoping to find some sense of order amidst the chaos. But each meeting only seemed to heighten the sense of fear and helplessness. The list of victims grew longer, and with each new name the sense of dread deepened. The community was united in their grief, but divided by their fear. The police were baffled, and the town was gripped by fear. The investigators were seasoned professionals, but this case was unlike anything they had ever encountered. The lack of evidence, the cryptic symbols, and the sheer number of victims made it a case that seemed almost unsolvable. The townspeople looked to the police for answers, but the answers were slow in coming. The fear was not just of the killers, but of the unknown. What if the killers were still among them? What if they struck again? Until a break in the case led to the arrest of a group known as the Krugersdorp killers. The arrests brought a sense of relief, but also a sense of disbelief. The killers were not strangers. They were people who had lived among them, people they had known and trusted. The revelation was a shock to the entire community. The killers' confessions were chilling, revealing a level of depravity that was hard to comprehend. Their confessions brought some answers, but even more questions. The killers spoke of a dark cult, of rituals and sacrifices, of a belief system that was twisted and evil. But their confessions also raised more questions. How had they managed to evade detection for so long? Who else was involved? Were there more victims that had yet to be discovered? The police worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle, but the more they uncovered, the more complex the case became. How did they evade detection for so long? The killers had been meticulous in their planning, careful to leave no trace. They had used their knowledge of the community to their advantage, blending in and avoiding suspicion. The police were left to wonder how many more victims there might be and whether they had truly caught all those involved. And who were they really working for? The killer spoke of a mysterious organization, a group that operated in the shadows and had connections that reached far beyond Krugersdorp. The police were left to wonder whether they had truly uncovered the full extent of the conspiracy or whether there were still others out there waiting to strike again. Despite the arrests, the mysteries surrounding the Krugersdorp killers persisted. The case was far from closed, and the community was left to grapple with the aftermath. The fear and mistrust that had taken hold during the disappearances did not simply vanish with the arrests. The town was left to pick up the pieces, to try and rebuild a sense of normalcy in the wake of the horror that had unfolded. The case shook South Africa to its core, leaving a lingering dread. The story of the Krugersdorp killers made headlines across the country, and the shockwaves were felt far beyond the borders of the small town. The case was a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, and the impact was felt by communities across South Africa. The lingering dread was not just about the killers, but about the realization that such evil could exist in their midst. To this day, the residents wonder, did the police uncover every piece of the puzzle? The case may have been officially closed, but the questions remained. The residents of Krugersdorp were left to wonder whether they truly knew the full story, or whether there were still secrets waiting to be uncovered. The fear and mistrust that had taken hold during the disappearances did not simply vanish with the arrests. The town was left to pick up the pieces, to try and rebuild a sense of normalcy in the wake of the horror that had unfolded. Or is part of the story still buried, waiting for someone brave enough to dig it up? The case of the Krugersdorp killers remains one of the most chilling and mysterious in South African history. The questions that remain unanswered continue to haunt the community, and the fear that took hold during the disappearances has never truly gone away. The story is a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface and the impact it can have on a community. As the shadows of that dark time continued to loom over Krugersdorp, one thing is certain: the town's secrets are far from fully unearthed. The story of the Krugersdorp killers is a chilling reminder of the evil that can exist in even the most seemingly idyllic places. The town may have moved on, but the memories of that dark time remain. The secrets that were uncovered were just the tip of the iceberg, and the full story may never be known. Stay vigilant, and remember, sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones we may never fully understand. The story of the Krugersdorp killers is a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, and the impact it can have on a community. The fear and mistrust that took hold during the disappearances did not simply vanish with the arrests. The town was left to pick up the pieces, to try and rebuild a sense of normalcy in the wake of the horror that had unfolded. The story is a reminder to stay vigilant and to remember that sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones we may never fully understand.